So this is the last verse spoken by Svāyambhuva Manu in this context. Next verse onwards, Kardama Muni starts speaking. Tvam tva shalvam vidwan. So aham tva, I have heard about you. What I have heard? Vivaha artham samudyatam. So here Svāyambhuva Manu is saying, I heard about you. You want to marry. Vivaha haratam samudyatam. You are prepared for that. Atas. Atah means hence. Because you wanted something which I got to know. Hence. That's the reason. Tvam upakurvāṇa. And also you are not the Naiṣṭhika-brahmacārī. So Prabhupada is explaining the two kinds of brahmacārī. Naiṣṭhika means who is taken to go not to marry or to be always celibate throughout his life. Like Bhishma Deva, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur Maharaj. So that is one category. Another it is meant upakurvāṇa. Upakurvāṇa-brahmacārī means up to certain age he can remain celibate. After taking permission from Guru, he can enter into the grihastha life. So it's also important, taking permission from spiritual master. Pratitam prati grahan me. So that's the reason I am requesting you, please accept my daughter. So, as we have discussed some of the classes, the grihastha life at this junction Kali Yuga, that to any ashrama, either brahmacharya, grihastha, vanapashrata, sannyasa, they are not feasible because the circumstances are not favorable. So that's the reason Prabhupada says Devi Varnashrama. So one can situate himself or herself in particular ashrama. The main purpose is to remember Krishna always. Dharma sonastata pumsan visvakshemi katha suya na utapateti yate ratim sram evhi kevalam. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I am not brahmacharya, I am not grihastha, I am not this, I am not brahmana, I am not kshatriya, I am not vaishya, I am not. So the whole, whichever ashram, whichever position you are, if you are able to remember Krishna while performing your some duty, anyway some duties we have to do, we can't be idle, then our being situated in that ashrama is successful. Ismartabhyam satatam Vishnu Vismartabhyam na jatu chit Sarv vidhi nishedhasur it evna kinkara. All rules and regulations are meant not to just some rules and regulations just follow. It's not something called just sake of following them. All rules and regulations are subservient to the it evna kinkara. Kinkara means servant. So the main purpose of any rules and regulation, how we can remember Krishna always, never forget him. Even the Rupa Goswami also says, by somehow or other remember Krishna. So, entering into any ashrama, one cannot have some. It's a very situation, very person related. Either one cannot follow. Even the leader is there. He's a brahmachari. He's a sannyasi. I should become a sannyasi brahmacharis. One thing, these ashrama are meant to progress in spiritual path. It should not be done because of some prestige and honor. Then it's very wrongly situated. So whole purpose is to improve our consciousness. Jivere sarupoe Krishna nityadas. Tanad api suni chena taror api sanshna. Amanina manedena kirtaniya sada. So our is immaterial, which ashram, where we situate, or whichever place also is immaterial. If you are able to remember Krishna, we are with Krishna. So even in the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu life, when he took sannyas from Katwa, then he wanted to go to Vrindavan. But by the trick of Nityananda Prabhu, he was brought to the Santipur, house of Advaita Acharya. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, see, I wanted you to Vrindavan, why you brought me here? So the Nityananda Prabhu replied, Prabhu, wherever you are, that is Vrindavan. So, physical situation or physically staying in one place is immaterial. We may be in Vrindavan, but we may be out of Vrindavan. Or we may be XYZ place, but we can be in Vrindavan. Like Prabhupada left Vrindavan, went to the West for preaching. So we have to be, and unless we improve our mind, unless we improve our consciousness, simply changing the place also will not help. Now sometimes we think maybe some behavior level, some disturbance that can be changed, but in general, the karmas will go, our chetnas will go there. And Prabhupada says, Brahmachari should always meditate on Brahman, means on the Lord. Always mind should carry or remembering Krishna or hearing about Krishna, that is to be life. One of the main activity of Brahmachari to hear about Krishna. Swadhyaya. Unless we hear, unless we talk about Krishna, we cannot be truly situated in the celibate platform. So that's the reason Rupa Goswami says, our process is how we can control the genital by controlling the tongue. bhalo na khaviya, bhalo na pehniya, Vaishnacha. If tongue is not controlled, then it will become very difficult to remain in the spiritual platform. One thing, we should only touch the Krishna Prasadam, not otherwise. And that too when we are in ashram, and only Prasadam or what is available. I will take only that. I won't take anything else. This is called austerity. So we have to take tongue control, and is another vibration, vibrating, the tongue vibrate, Prabhupada says. We are only speaking about, concerning about Krishna. If tongue is controlled, then very easy to control all other senses. If tongue is not controlled, then whatever will try to control other senses, it won't happen. It will be very struggle, and it won't happen eventually. So, and Bhagavatam says, even if a grasta, if whichever, even there also you have to follow the Brahmacarya principle. Grista is not the some license for the sex life. Sex has to be done only for procreation, not otherwise. Otherwise falls into the illicit connection, even if you have a bona fide authorized partner. So the whole Vedic culture was designed in such a manner that gradually, slowly, he come out from inclination towards sex life. That's the Brahmacarya. All three ashrama does not allow except the grihastha ashrama. If one is too much disturbed, can't remain, can't think of it. So but there are also some rules and regulations very strictly one has to follow. And that then he can follow only when his mind is involved in Krishna. Otherwise that also he cannot do. Unless we chant the holy name very sincerely. Unless we develop attachment of hearing. Otherwise, sram evi kevalam, otherwise. So that inclination, we can just, are we really inclined to hear about Krishna? Really we inclination towards reading about Śrīla Prabhupāda books? So that craving is not there. Then somehow or other we have to do so that we become attached to the Brahman. And it is said to understand Brahman is very important to, first thing we have to get up in the Brahma Muhurta, and without getting up in the Brahma Muhurta, we can't understand Brahman. So that's the reason Brahma Muhurta is being given the word. And also we have to involve our spiritual activities on those times. So the whole process is how to cut down is called Methuna Agara. Agara means shackle. We are all in this material world is a jail, prison house, and there also shackles are there. Methuna Agara. The revolted, those who do not want to serve Krishna, do not want to thank Krishna, want to become sense gratified, they are being put into this prison house, and that shackles, the janjire are Methun Agara. So if Prabhupada says there is no need to give any certificate to anyone, you can see in your heart how much you are progressing in the spiritual path. Outwardly we may be very showing others, we can do so many things. But what is happening in our heart? If we do not slacken the desire regarding sex life or opposite sex, then we are not getting slackened. Outwardly, you may be able to control for a while, but not eventually, no? Like we heard of Vishwamitra and we heard of Svāyambhuva Manu and other things. So, Prabhupada is writing, civilization is how to cut down sex desire and ultimately become completely free. Now Yamunacharya says, Yat avati mama Krishna no rasadham tama tad avati nari sanga me ismaran mahave bhavatu mukha bakhara tusti bisti baja. So the stage should come where we spit on a thought, even thinking of associating with opposite sex. So the civilization, the whole process is how to cut down sex desire and ultimately become completely free, Paramhansa. That is a civilization according to the Vedic culture. Therefore, Brahmacharya is instructed in such a way that he will remain Brahmachari throughout the whole life. Brahmachari is open to accept either a Grihastha-ashrama or Vanaprastha or Sannyasa. But the Guru advises better remain all through Brahmachari, no botheration. What I is saying in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam lecture. What they are saying, long ago, when Ajamla saw the scene of drunken Sudra and the prostitute, Ajamla, who was a perfect brahmachari, was affected. So he was very perfect, took birth in the Brahmana family, but somehow he saw one drunken Sudra and prostitute associating. He got affected. Nowadays, such sin is visible in so many places, and we must everywhere, full propaganda, all magazines, all billboards, everywhere. So nowadays, such a sin is visible in so many places, and we must consider position of a brahmachari student who sees such behavior. For such a brahmachari to remain sturdy is very difficult unless he is extremely strong in chanting the holy name and hearing about Krishna and following the regulation given in scripture very systematically. Nevertheless, if one takes to Krishna consciousness very seriously, he can withstand the provocation created by sin or Maya. So unless we are very strongly fixed in Krishna consciousness, by chanting the holy name, by serving Krishna, completely absorbed in service, no other thought, then we can protect ourselves. That is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching. Chota Haridasa. He represented himself as a brahmachari, and he was looking after a young woman. Then he understood he is a hypocrite. Reject him. So our request is, don't be hypocrite. Many great personalities remain brahmachari throughout their whole lives and get freedom from material bondage very easily. Of course, marriage is not prohibited in devotional service. But if one can remain brahmachari in unmarried life, it is a great facility. Attraction, man and female, so many things he has to do. But even in the grahastha also he should be remain brahmachari. It's not simply grahastha, it's like a grahamedis. The so-called comfortable family position is compared to the dark well in the field. Grahe andhukupam. Some enter so that I will be little happy, comfortable in home. Let me get married. So it's a dark well if he's thinking of comfortable home life. So the so-called comfortable family position is compared to the dark well in a field. If one falls in a dark well covered by grass, his life is lost despite his cry for rescue. Highly advanced spiritualists therefore recommend that one should not enter the grahastha ashrama at all. It is better to prepare oneself in the Brahmacarya ashrama for austerities and remain a pure brahmachari throughout one's life, so that one will not feel the piercing thorns of material life in grahastha ashrama. Even though it's a bona fide ashrama, but still it is recommended. Something rasasama, taking the great load in your head or walking. Your determination, so Prabhupada, the last one wrote in the Bhagavatam purport. Now Prabhupada is mentioning one of the letter to a devotee. Your determination to remain as brahmachari is very encouraging to me. Actually, a living entity does not require to be entangled more and more. Sex urge is a symptom of every living entities, but in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, it is advised that it is something like the itching propensity. Now, when you have some wound and some skin drying up, so we want to itch it. And if you eat it, it becomes more horrible, more painful. So if one can tolerate this itching, some inclination, something will come. So somehow we have to tolerate instead of indulging. If one can tolerate this itching, he can save himself from the enormous troublesome business resulting from this itching sensation. So an intelligent person, rather suffering the pain of itching sensation than accepting the after effects of satisfying the itch. Anyway, suffering will be there. So better that's not controlling the mind of the one of the austerity of the mind. So that level of austerity is required. Buddha is saying, when you are married in India, Buddha is saying there is some band party and the bridegroom is decorated like a king and he is on the horseback and is taken. But one who knows, he says that this rascal is becoming more rascal. He is already Gada, he is becoming more Gada. So therefore to check him, not to become a Gadha, as first education is Brahmachari. Don't enter this Pumsa Istriya Mithuni Bhavam. So that is the education, that is the first education, that is called Brahmachari. Ultimately you have to be brahmachari. So that Adi Rasa in the spiritual verse, that's called perverted reflection, falls into the call attraction towards opposite sex. In India, therefore, there are many Akhanda Brahmacharis. And my Guru Maharaj was the best Brahmachari. So, your decision to remain a Brahmachari is very glorious. And if you stick to the principle of Krishna consciousness rigidly, sincerely, you will never be disturbed by any sex urge. And the life will be very much simplified, completely being engaged in service of Krishna. Devotee requested Prabhupada, I wish to enter the Grihastha ashrama. So Prabhupada is writing the letter. Regarding your marriage, that is my open opinion that if anyone can remain a brahmachari all the time without being disturbed by sex urge, or who can tolerate such urges, there is not any need for him to marry and take some extra responsibility. But one who is disturbed in mind, he must get himself married. If too much, he cannot chant, he cannot think anything else. That was this next possible option. Therefore, it has to be decided by oneself for this writing, because he's insisting, Prabhupada, I was to get married. So it has to be decided by oneself if one should marry or not marry. It is a fact, however, that if one is thoroughly engaged in Krishna's service, the sex urge does not have much disturbance. So Bhismadeva and Rashur Yagya admitted that no one is better brahmachari than Krishna. So the lust does not mean the gross, gross is there, but even the subtle lust. They call puja, pratishtha, lava, right? Is called subtle lust. Atma indriya priti vancha tare bali kama. So kama means one is very gross, is very low, then seeking own enjoyment. So Atma Indriya Priti Vancha Tare Bali Kama Krishna Indriya Priti Iksha Dhare Prema Nama. So even our life we have to see, if any work I am doing is my satisfaction, my satisfying Indriya, then actually that is Kama. So we have to be very vigilant. Any action is done is for my own pleasure, or it is pleasure for Krishna and Guru. Because if we are not very vigilant, we can slowly off track from the right path. So nobody is better brahmachari than Krishna. He was with the gopis, all young girls, but he remained a brahmachari. If I would have been within the gopis, I do not know what would have been my condition. So therefore Krishna is a perfect brahmachari. Rishikesha. And these rascals, they are saying that Krishna is immoral. No, Krishna is perfect brahmachari. Dhira. Dhira means one who is not agitated, even there is cause of being agitated. So we are the place of agitation, Kali Yuga. But somehow, when we follow or become Krishna conscious all the time, then only we can be saved. But the Holy Name plays a major role in our life. The brahmachari system of life is especially advantageous in that it increases the power of memory and determination. Prabhupada gives this example many places. When you do not waste your semen, you become very strong determination, and also your memory will increase. it is specifically mentioned in this connection that because Narada was Naiṣṭhika-brahmacārī, he could remember whatever he heard from his spiritual master and would never forget it. The Prabhupada writes in the Krishna book. So Narada, being a brahmachari, whatever he heard from his guru, he could be able to remember always. Otherwise our memory will become slackened gradually, and even physical health also go off a bit. So there is no difference between brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasi. Simply grihastha means he lived outside the temple anyway. So somehow here we see, we should not conclude here Kardama Muni is getting married, so I also should think of, no, that's not the point. So here Kardama Muni position is a different, and he is being the he's given a assigned duty to create the progeny to Prajapati, and so we have to be and ultimately gradually we have to, and this we can save ourselves only when we are completely mind fixed on Krishna. So we have to follow the all rules and regulation, all the system which Śrīla Prabhupāda has given, and so that we can be completely fixed in our determination and we can safeguard ourselves. I stop here. Granthraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki Jai, Jagat Guru Śrīla Prabhupāda ki Nitai Go Prem Nande Hari Hari Bo.